right, guys, we are back here at the content stage at Burbank Card Show. Day number 3, our last stream of the day, and it's going to be a good one. We've got Raymond. You want me to push that towards you a little bit more?
It's fine.
Okay, cool.
It's good.
We got Raymond here from Veriswap. We're excited to chat with him. He's one of the sponsors at the show. This, I have to say, honestly, is probably one of the most needed technologies to come out in a while for the hobby, honestly. So kudos to you guys on bringing it out, but we want to hear more about it, obviously. So let's back up, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about Veriswap. Give us the rundown on it and what's going on with it.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Raymond. I'm the co-founder of Veriswap. Veriswap is a marketplace for swapping cards. So the idea is to have trade night at your fingertips 24/7. So you can exchange card for card, multiple cards for a single card, multiple cards for cash. We cover it all. So make sure that we're also middleman service. Make sure that no one gets scammed as well.
Yeah. So basically, what you guys have done is you've taken the technology you've taken the physical aspect of trading, because one of the biggest issues, obviously, with trading, if you're not trading at a show, and you find someone online or in a Facebook group or something like that and you're trading is the security aspect, right? You don't really know that person. So you got 2 cards that are crossing paths, and who knows what's going to happen if you don't know them. So you guys basically took that, brought it into the technical aspect, and put a little security around it, I guess, is the best way to describe that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'd say it's 2 parts. First is a technical aspect. So platforms like Facebook and Instagram are not really built for trading. Right. Every single time that I would trade, I would have to, click my finger 30 times, upload all the photos from my camera roll, into the chat, and there would be like a dialogue back and forth. It'd be like really annoying.
Yeah.
Right. And the second part is like, okay, like once you agree to a deal, how do you execute it in like a fair way without getting either side scammed?
Yeah.
Right. So the goal was to approach both of those problems and to create a solution that would, make the trading process a lot smoother.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when did you guys show up on the scene? Like, how long have you been working on this?
About 1.5 years.
Yeah. And so you're fully live now?
We're fully live.
Okay. And how do we find it? Is it an app? Is it web-based? How does the process work?
Yeah, so there's a website. There's also an app. App is available on the Apple Store as well as the Google Play Store.
Okay. So how did you get this idea? I mean, obviously, like I said earlier, this is something that's, I feel, very needed in the hobby. I'm sure there's a backstory. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I started development on this app, I would buy and sell cards, trade for a living. So every weekend I would fly to different show in different parts of the country just for the purpose of trading. I liked interacting with dealers during regular show hours, but it seemed like my favorite part of the show and everyone else's favorite part of the show was the trading aspect.
Yeah.
Right. And I just found it frustrating that it was very difficult to trade, the 95% of the time that I wasn't at a show, right? So I basically created this solution, to solve my own problem that I had, and at the end of the day, wanted to create a tool that I could use to trade my own cards.
Yeah, there you go. Solve your own problem. I like it, Raven.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what does it look like? So obviously you've got the main technology. Can you tell us a little bit about how the process works? Like after you register, like from start to finish, like let's say I have a trade I want to make. What does that look like from a user perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So first you would upload your cards onto the Veriswap platform. Within minutes, you'll start getting offers of other people who are interested in your cards. People can offer full cards. They can offer a mix of cards and cash. And then you would basically go back and forth and negotiate until you agree to a deal.
Oh, so the negotiation also happens on the platform.
Exactly,
as well.
yeah. You
Okay.
can accept an offer, you can counter offer, you can also decline an offer.
Okay.
So once both sides agree, we charge the Veriswap fee, which is now 1.5% compared to 3%. So
Okay,
it went
reasonable,
down by
yeah.
50%. And then once both parties agree to a deal, they ship to our middleman hub, where we inspect everything, make sure that everything is good, and then we'll ship it out to the correct party to fully execute the deal.
Okay. So those cards go to a centralized location where those cards are checked and verified? Is that how that works?
That's correct.
Okay. And then they're shipped out from there to both parties?
Yep.
Man, it seems that's so simple. Like, you ever wonder, like, with technology like this, like, how did someone not think about this before? before now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a very, very cool technology. I'm excited to see what's happening. So what's on the roadmap for Veriswap? Like anything other than your technology that just came out? Like what's the roadmap look like?
Yeah, so a couple things. We want to make the trading experience smoother. So we want to make it easier for people to agree to a deal and reduce the friction and time it takes for people to reach an agreement. The second thing we want to do is we want to make the in-show experience smoother. So right now, as you can see, on the top floor, there are banners everywhere where users can scan and search up an interactive map of the entire show.
Right.
Right. On the Veriswap app, users can basically opt into the show, and they can search through all users' inventory to kind of like see who has what at each show. Right. And the idea of that is so that you don't have to like walk through, the tens of rows of the show to find, LeBron Topps Refractor. Within seconds, you can see who has that card and just go directly to their booth.
Interesting, yeah.
And another benefit of that is like we want to make it easier to line up deals before you get to the show. So say, for example, Matt, if I know that you're going to the Dallas Card Show next week,
right,
and I know that I'm going to Dallas Card Show next week, right? We want to be able to like prearrange a deal beforehand to get a head start on the negotiations to make the show worth it for you before you even get to the show.
Yeah, that's great. So are you guys, what's the plan look like? Are you guys going to be attending a lot of shows, like to try to get this out, or what does that look like from a marketing perspective? How are you trying to kind of immerse yourself from a technology standpoint into the hobby to make sure everybody knows what's going on?
Yeah, so we do plan on attending as many shows as possible. Not only that, but we plan on having a big presence at trade nights. Mm-hmm. Not only trade nights at shows, but also trade nights that are independently hosted at LCSs as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
From a trade night perspective. So what does it look like digitally at a show? Are you actually like implementing your technology at the show at the trade night? Or how does that work from a sponsorship perspective? I'm asking because I'm thinking through future opportunities here for
Yeah, for sure. So right now, like people aren't really using our technology at the trade night, but the idea is basically to get the word of our app out to people who like to trade.
Yeah. Okay. So roadmap sounds like you guys have some really cool technology coming, making shows a little bit more interactive from a perspective of, because I mean there's nothing worse than being like, okay, I'm chasing this at whatever show. You get there and it was there and you missed it because right, you can't look at every card in every showcase.
Right.
So you guys are kind of solving that problem, it sounds like.
Exactly, yeah. And what's even worse is like, you go there and someone snags it up before you do.
Yeah.
Right. Like someone who probably wants the card less, someone who might not be willing to pay as much, right? So we feel like collectors ultimately pay the best prices, and if we're able to kind of like get the cards in the hands of the collectors, people who like truly intentionally seek out that card before they even arrive at the show, then that's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah.
Because the seller gets the higher price, and then whoever is buying it or trades for it gets the card they want.
Yeah. So what is what's the tech look like for you guys? So are you a developer? Did you when you had this idea? Because I find out a lot. There's two different types of tech companies that enter the space. There's people with ideas that find a team,
right,
and then there's developers that weren't part of the hobby that have an idea that come into the space, and then there's three I guess, and then there's people in the hobby that happen to be developers. Like I'm thinking Alan from Waxstat, right? Like that produced it, or I should say, develop something because they are actual developers and they're like, this is missing, let's go do it. Like, which one of those categories do you fall into?
Yeah, I was the one with the initial ideas. Before I started working on Veriswap, I was trading cards full time. I've been doing that for 3 years, and I reached out to my friend from high school, and he's responsible for the tech side of everything. Okay,
awesome. So what's your team look like?
Yeah, so we have obviously my co-founder Noah. He's responsible for the tech side. We have a few developers who are working on building the product from a web perspective as well as an app perspective. We have marketing, design, as well as people who handle the logistics of our shipments.
Okay. And so what does the middleman look like? Like, does that come to you guys' warehouse, or is that handled by someone else? What does that aspect look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have a couple hubs across the country. Whether a package gets sent to one hub or another hub depends on the package's value. People who manage these hubs are people who are in cards, so they know like exactly what to look out for. Say, for example, if a PSA label is like, mislabeled, or if a card, is very, very, very heavily damaged or very obviously fake. We do not guarantee authenticity, but
Right.
Because these people are in the hobby, they are able to provide like a first line of protection to issues that may arise.
Okay. So they're not necessarily verifying the authenticity of the card. They're just making sure that the card was what the person said it was. And so it's kind of a glance authentication or a glance verification that the package is what the person said it was, basically.
Exactly.
So, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're going to get into authenticity or verifying the authentication, that's probably a whole different level or I should say a different layer that you guys would have to add in. Is that on the roadmap at all, or are you guys going to try to stay away from that?
Trying to stay away from that.
Yeah, I would I would advise that as well.
Yeah.
That can be you'd have to get like I think DCI, which is a grading company,
Right.
just hired a FBI forensic. He was had I don't know, like 15 years in a forensics role at the FBI as their authenticator.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a difficult position to be in unless you have someone that's really, really experienced. So yeah, I think, but I also think a lot of traders aren't necessarily looking for authentication. They're just really wanting some security added to the trade.
Exactly. Yeah. It's mainly an issue of making sure that you receive what the other party says they're going to offer you.
Yeah. Well, man, this is really, really cool. I'm glad you came up with the idea. Like I said, the hobby's needed this for a while. I think it's going to be really well accepted. So, I mean, you guys have been on the scene now for how long, you said?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. So how have you felt the hobby's accepting it so far? Are you getting pretty good, feedback from users, in terms of adoption from people using the actual tech?
Yeah. I think right now feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. We've gotten a lot of feedback from people who, they always wish that they had a product like this, and a lot of people are having fun using our product. The negative feedback is also super helpful because it gives us opportunity to grow. It tells us, areas that we need to improve on. So for those of you guys listening, if you guys have any feedback on how we can improve, we're always open to hearing that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we look forward to seeing you, at the future shows and just kind of what Veriswap has in store for the roadmap. It's going to be pretty cool to see. And we'll have to get our hands dirty in there and maybe do some trades too to see how things go. So
yeah, we'll get your first trade done.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you, Raymond. We appreciate it. Glad you could be on. Hey, make sure you check out. Well, let's tell them where they can find you. Website and app.
Yeah, website is veriswap.com. The app on the Google and Apple stores is the Veriswap app. Just type in Veriswap.
Awesome. And socials, I think it's just straight Veriswap as well, right?
Yep. Our Instagram is Veriswap, VERISWAP.
Awesome. Well, go check it out. Very cool technology. Would love to see some more user adoption so that we can start seeing it spread a little bit. But yeah, great to have you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future and you guys' growth.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.